Hello, and welcome back to the Spoiler Cast, the show where we're talking about movies, so we don't care about spoiling them, because it's in the name. My name is Tobias, and with me, as always, is my sister and trusty co-host, Rebecca.
Hello!
Hello! And in today's episode, we're doing another multi-movie episode,
Yes.
just like with The Conjuring. This is not as many movies, though. And we're not ranking them, we're just going to talk about them. I mean, I guess we can rank them, but...
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what it is from the title, and you know what's happening in like a week or two. I think it's a week?
Next week.
Next week, yeah.
Next Friday, technically, but yeah.
Yeah. So, today we're going to talk about The Expendables 1, 2, and 3. Whoa! Yeah. It's
It's a ride.
It's a ride.
It's a wild ride.
It's a weird one.
Yes, a little bit, yes. At points.
Yes, and it's one I can't quite put my finger on. I mean, the concept is such a great idea. Like, get together all the great action stars of the 80s, put them in a badass action movie harkening back to the 80s and 90s. And, you know,
just let them be action heroes again.
Yeah, that's it. Like some boilerplate plot about some, dictator or a drug smuggler or something. And just
bad guy.
Big guns, big guns.
Yeah.
And, good one-liners.
Cheesy one-liners.
Yeah. And they have more or less completely failed each time, I think.
There's one that's better than the others,
Yes.
definitely.
Oh, I don't know if we're the same, but yes, I agree.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
I appreciate, like I said, the concept. It's a very good concept.
And I'll say this: I enjoy the movies.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
they're
like for what they are, but like if you're really gonna nitpick it, if you're really gonna analyze it,
it's not that good.
They're not. They're like I said. They
borderline
miss the
terrible.
points every time.
Like, the action is good, sure.
The action is good, yes.
But literally, that's it. As soon as someone opens their mouth and they have to try and, like, have a plot, it falls flat.
Yeah.
No, not literally every time anyone says a line, because the one-liners do work.
Yes, they do.
But everything else, like conversations, more or less fail.
Especially, and let's get into it, especially the first one, I think.
Yes! Which is weird.
Let's get into The Expendables 1.
Yes. It's weird how the first one is so bad, yet allowed there to be sequels?
Because it made money.
Sure, because obviously everyone went and saw it, because hello.
Yeah, it was relatively cheap. I say relatively, I think it was like 60 or $80 million, but that's cheap by Hollywood standards. And
most of it was probably like CG and their paychecks.
Yeah.
They like bought an island and then they're done.
And I don't know how much it made. Hold on. Do you have it up?
No, I don't know where I see that. I always open the IMDb only. I never.
Yeah, you can see it there. Because I looked up the other ones, but I didn't look the first one up. It's budget of 80 million, and it grossed 274 million. So if we're gonna go by the industry standard, they probably spent around 100 to 160 million dollars on the movie. So yeah, they broke even at about 200. So they made a nice profit of 74 million dollars.
Yeah,
and that and they're not looking to be anything like that's what movies used to be. Before the comic book boom. Like,
exactly.
The movies didn't gross $1 billion. No. You had a few you had like maybe one that did that. So I mean this was like that's a regular profit from movies, so I can see why they wanted to make another one.
Yeah, sure. No, sure. I assume they had a lot of fun making the movies.
That's what I've heard.
There's nothing that would make me think that they didn't. Like, they had a falling out between anyone, or like they didn't just laugh their asses off constantly at the stupid one-liners and the stupid lines in general.
and that's what I've heard from interviews, and not like interviews during the PR stuff, but
because then they have to like everything.
Exactly, they have to say they like it. But I know Jason Statham a few years ago, even like, I mean, technically the fourth one was like in development because it's been stuck in like development hell for years.
Sure.
So maybe he just wanted not to badmouth it, but he said they asked like, oh, if they were ever going to be a number 4. Expendables number 4, would you do it? He's like, yeah, of course, I love those movies. It's the most fun I've ever had, making a movie, basically. So
yeah.
If he's truthful, it wouldn't surprise me,
No, it wouldn't. Definitely not. Even though, like, I'm just scrolling through the trivia now and people got hurt, which, I mean...
one person died on the first movie, I think it was. One stuntman, and one got
didn't come up,
injured.
But someone almost blew their leg off. Sylvester Stallone sustained 14 injuries making the movie, including breaking a tooth, rupturing his ankle, and getting a hairline fracture in his neck. Yes,
you can actually see that happening in the movie. They use that take. They use a take of Steve Austin's leg almost getting blown off as well.
Steve Austin, yeah.
Well, that is because that is his style of filmmaking, which he kind of adapted in his later career. It's kind of the same on Rambo 4. There's like a bunch of injuries and him hurting himself all the time, basically.
It's authentic, though.
Yeah, it's also dumb.
In a bad way, though.
Get it. Yeah, I get it.
Sure.
I'm just looking at movies that made $1 billion. It's like nothing before 2010.
No, because things didn't make that much money before 2010.
Oh, sick. Transformers Age of Extinction has an 18% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $1 billion. Oh, that's so sad. Anyway, sorry.
Iron Man 2 was 2010 as well, right?
Yes.
Did Mickey Rourke, record both of them at the same time? I mean, Mickey Rourke isn't that much in Expendables.
No. He's in 3 scenes, so they shot that in 40
he's like Charlie in Charlie's Angels, basically.
Yeah. And he was supposed to come
Charlie
back,
to the Angels, then.
Huh?
He's their Charlie, then, I guess.
Yeah. He was supposed to come back, but it was always scheduling problems or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But back to the well, I guess we're talking about the movie. The plot is pretty simple. You have
wait. The line, there's one sentence on IMDb that explains the entire movie.
Okay. What does it say?
A CIA operative hires a team of mercenaries to eliminate a Latin dictator and a renegade CIA agent.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's the entire movie. Cue explosions, one-liners, big muscles. Yeah. And a kind of awkward, not really romance between Sylvester Stallone and I don't remember the girl's name.
Oh, Sandra.
Short
for Alexandra.
Played
the
by
creator
Giselle.
of the world. Or queen of the world, or something like that.
Oh.
They say that in the movie. Or maybe that's... Oh, we should also say, I think we watched different versions, because I watched it on Blu-ray.
I watched the streaming.
Yeah, I have...
I think, yeah.
I have the collector's director's
Extended
edition, the 5-disc collector's edition, with a 95-minute behind the scenes documentary, which is actually pretty good.
Sure.
Yeah. So I watched most of the theatrical version, and then I watched the full director's cut version. So there might be some lines that you haven't heard.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
only like 10,
I don't
15
think
minutes longer, but.
I don't think I've ever seen the extended edition.
No.
I think I've only seen theatrical.
Yeah. And it's the same with the third movie. The one I watched is 2 hours and 11 minutes because it's on the Blu-ray as well.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I watched the stream version as well. Yeah. That one.
Anyway, back to the first one.
Yeah, the only question I have, this is really random now, because all of these main characters are obviously old action stars. We've seen them in lots of action movies.
Well, fuck it then. Let's get into that. No, they're not.
Not all of them. No, that's true.
You have Terry
First
Crews,
of all,
Randy Couture.
He's my main, but Randy Couture, isn't he a wrestler or something?
He's an MMA fighter, UFC fighter.
Right, yeah. So I recognize his name.
Sure.
But Terry Crews, what did he do before this?
He didn't do a lot. He had a few small roles. But before that, he was a professional football player, American football,
Oh,
the one where they don't use their feet. But it's called football for some reason. Yeah. I'm coming at you, America.
American football, if you need to know.
Exactly.
I was about to say.
Not football, as it's called, not soccer, as you call it.
No.
Anyway, sorry.
Right, he was a football player.
He was a football player for a pretty long time. And then, those careers end pretty early because, you got to be in your physical prime and everything. Or injuries. So, he did some acting on the side. And then when he retired from football, he became a full-time actor. Obviously, striking gold with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Sure,
for 10
but this
years
one must have also been one of those.
Yes, this was just before Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I'd seen him in one, well, I guess technically 2 movies, but I think he's one of the barbershop movies, like one scene. And then I saw him, he plays like a second-rate bad guy in the movie Gamer, if you remember that one.
Yeah, I found it on his list. Barely remember it, but now that I see the poster, yes, I remember it. He's one of the football players, obviously, in The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. Duh. Oh, right, he's in White Chicks.
I haven't
That's
seen
like
that.
the first time I've seen it. You haven't seen White Chicks?
No, why would I watch White Chicks?
I'm sorry, that's like a cultural phenomenon. You have to.
Yeah,
that's
people
like Mean
shit
Girls.
on.
You have to watch it.
No, it's not like Mean Girls. Okay.
Kind of. Okay,
Whatever.
never mind that. I'm putting that on. You're forcing me to watch a movie. I'm going to force you to watch this.
About that, we were talking just before this. Rebecca has never... Well, you've seen parts of it, I suppose. But you've never actually watched Wild Wild West?
No.
You want to talk about a cultural milestone?
Well then, fair is fair. I'll watch Wild Wild West. You watch White Chicks.
Sure.
There we go.
And we'll talk about it on the Patreon.
Yeah, sure.
Patreon.com/Don't Make a Scene. Check it out. We're going to have a double feature. Back to Expendables. Yes. Yeah.
Terry Crews specifically. Hey, he was in Terminator Salvation? What the fuck? I don't remember him in that.
He is?
He's Captain Jericho.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I do not remember him at all in that.
I watched that a few years ago. I don't remember him. That's a good movie, though. It's like one of the better
Is Salvation sequels. the good ones?
Yes, it's the one that actually takes place in the future.
Oh, right. It's that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Either way. There's other people who are obviously not, like, superhero action star things, but, like, the main ones are.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone is. Jason Statham is.
Yeah.
Jet Li is. Dolph Lundgren is.
Yes. But here's the problem. When you talk about the classic 80s and 90s action heroes, you talk about Sylvester... Oh, first you talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Then you talk about Sylvester Stallone. You talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's the holy trinity of action stars. Yes.
And Chuck Norris.
Then you talk maybe about Chuck Norris. Well, I would say Dolph Lundgren first, then Chuck Norris. And then, I mean, that's for the big ones. And maybe like Mark Dacascos.
I don't even know who that is.
No, exactly, but I do.
Sure.
And I mean Wesley Snipes. Oh, sure. Before that, Wesley Snipes. He was supposed to be in the movie, but he had some legal trouble, so he couldn't. But
yes. What was it? Tax issue, so he couldn't leave the country or something.
Yes.
And this is shot in like I don't know.
Brazil.
Yeah, I was about to say South America somewhere.
Mainly Brazil and Los Angeles, I suppose. Those are the people you talk about, and of course, and Bruce Willis, of course, from the Die Hard movies, of course. Yes. Now, all these people are in the movie, but when you think of the Expendables and all these names, you think like, oh shit, they're gonna team up, they're gonna kick ass.
Yeah.
But then, in the actual Expendables team, only 2 of them are in it. It's Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren, and Dolph Lundgren is basically not in it after the first, the opening action scene. He
gets injured in the.
He gets exiled or whatever you want to call it.
Exiled, that's the one in the first movie. Yeah,
because he's a loose cannon.
He's a bit too.
I can't trust you.
Yes, exactly.
So, and the rest are just Arnold Schwarzenegger is literally there for one scene. The same with
the church, right?
Yes, and the same with Bruce. You're talking like you haven't seen the movie.
No, I've watched this one just after we recorded the last episode.
Oh, okay.
And then I watched the second and third one like 2 days ago. I was prepping way too early.
I watched them all in the span of like 12 hours. That's why it's all fresh in my head.
Parts of them have melded together.
Okay.
Somehow.
No, yeah, so Bruce Willis is also in that church scene. He's in it for like 2 minutes.
Right.
Then you have what's his name? Robert, the bad guy. Robert, what's his name?
Eric Roberts?
Eric Roberts, thank you. Which, he's not known as an action star, but he's done some action. He usually plays the bad guy. He plays the bad guy in The Specialist, starring, of course, Sylvester Stallone, among others. And yeah, you have Mickey Rourke, which did some action movies, but he was mainly just a movie guy. He wasn't specifically an action guy. But he's only just in, like, one scene. So all these action heroes are in, like, one scene. And then, yeah, in the actual team, you have Sylvester Stallone. Oh, yeah, sure. Jason Statham. Sure. But he became an action star in the 2000s. It's not the same thing. He's still good,
not one of the classics.
No, exactly. He's more.
He wasn't vintage by then already.
No, exactly. Yeah,
he's vintage now.
This came out 2 years after the first Crank movie, so he was still fresh.
See, I'm assuming that the Expendables was a little bit of an experiment. They wanted to have like all of the big actors, but maybe some of them were like, I'm not sure I want to put my name on this yet. I want to see how this goes before I do it, which kind of defeats the purpose, because the entire purpose is of having the old stars come together and do the action.
Yeah.
Like, Schwarzenegger was a governor back then, right? Or
no. I think he was governor from 2003 to 2000 and something, because you can only be for like 8 years. So yeah, he had just finished his political. So after
maybe he was still in politics a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I guess he technically is still. I mean, he's gone back to movies, but yeah.
Yeah, but that was close enough. So maybe he didn't want to like make a movie about attacking a Spanish-speaking dictator in South America somewhere. Maybe that felt wrong. I don't know. Too close to home or something.
I don't know. I mean, he's still in the movie.
Maybe just a lot of... Sure, but he didn't do much.
And I mean, he was a Republican governor. So I don't think his constituents would care.
Nah, I guess not. Well, hey, I don't know. I'm assuming a lot of people are like, yes, this is a fun idea, but I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, sure. But like then it's kind of failed then already. Because, instead you have... And I'm nothing against Randy Couture or Terry Crews. I love Terry Crews. Randy Couture is fine here. He's not a good actor, but I mean, whatever.
What little he does is fun enough.
I love Dolph Lundgren. I love Jason Statham. Jet Li really has nothing to do in the movie, but still. Like, he's the closest to, like, the third kind of star in the movie. But they really shortchange him. Haha, literally, because they keep calling him short. But he has nothing to do. He has no arc. I mean, the others don't really have that either. But of the three big ones, he has zero arc. I mean, you barely see him do any action.
Yeah.
I don't know why they put him in the movie, really.
To put his name on the poster.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just name on a poster.
Yeah. And then we get...
I mean, even like if you look at the poster, you have everyone's there. Well, no.
All the names are there.
Schwarzenegger isn't.
No.
It's Stallone, Statham, Lee, Lundgren,
right, because he was supposed to be a cameo.
Cruise,
yeah.
Rourke, and Willis. Yeah, he was supposed to be a cameo.
Well, he is a cameo, but they didn't want to spoil it. Yeah. Anyways, okay, they put together sort of like a team of action heroes. So, but maybe, so as long as the action is good, it's fine. And the action is good, but there's not a lot of it.
No.
You have the opening scene, which is just weird. It's this, because Sylvester Stallone has this directing style of making it feel very real. He likes the gritty realism, like a shaky cam, how everything is dark and very violent, which doesn't really fit, the fun, over-the-top action 80s movie, 80s action movie.
No. It's too serious.
Too serious. Works very well for the fourth Rambo. Doesn't work here at all. And it's also this. There's already like turmoil within the group. Like, nobody seems to like each other. Most of them don't say anything. They're just standing there. And then you have Dolph Lundgren like, oh, I'm crazy, you're a warning shot, oh, I'm gonna hang a pirate, oh, and then just get rid of him. Like, like, it should open with them being badass, action guys.
Best buddies, action cool.
Instead, it's just like, them killing pirates. I mean, that's fine, but I mean, it's not like a cool action scene. It's just them shooting down at the pirates, and then they
leave. From literally a vantage point.
Yeah, and then they leave. And they get rid of one of the actual few 80s action stars in the movie. It's like, okay. And then he comes back as a villain and dies halfway through the movie. Well, he doesn't die, but
almost dies.
Yeah. And then
yes,
they get this new so we have no like cool. We don't have the cool crew of action heroes. We have this disparate group of angry guys who kill for money. Yeah. And they get a job to go in and kill this dictator. They don't go, all of them don't go. Instead only Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham go to scout it out. Oh, yeah. Okay. Like, first of all, we'll talk more about the story of the movie later. I'm going through the plot now. So they go there on their own. They meet up with Sandra, played by, what's her name? Something Etienne. Giselle Itier. Sorry, Itier. And she shows them around. We kind of figure out that she is the daughter of General Garza, which is the dictator they're there to kill. Yeah. And then, they get found out, so they have to leave again. Try to bring her along. She says, no, I have to stay.
I can't leave my people.
We do have some cool action, when they get accosted in the field or whatever it is.
Sure.
The shooting and the camera whipping around as he rolls around. It was cool. And then, of course, the fly and die scene is amazing. Like, if this movie has anything, it's that scene.
Yes.
Yeah. I won't fault it for that. That scene is amazing when they douse the entire dock in gasoline and light it on fire from the sky. That's out of this world. Amazing.
That's very cool.
Amazing. But then the movie just stops and they're like, oh, we're not taking this job because it's too dangerous. We're only in it for the money. But then, something's eating at Sylvester Stallone, or Barney Ross, as he's called. Barney Ross. He's like, oh, why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she come with us? And he talks to Mickey Rourke, Tool, who's there. Yeah, he's the,
the guy in the chair, basically.
The guy in the chair, yeah, exactly. Who takes the calls for them. And he talks about, like, well, yeah, we don't have any souls anymore. And there lies the thing. And you know this if you've seen the documentary, Inferno. I mean, if it's available online, you should check it out. It's interesting to see what Sylvester Stallone's idea for the movie initially was. Like, beyond just getting the guys together and make a cool movie, he had this idea of, like, old warriors haunted by, their past sins, basically, not being able to live any other life than a life of death and bloodshed, because that's all they know. And that's why we have that, admittedly, very good scene with Mickey Rourke when he talks about, like, yeah, she represents something to you. She has, she still believes in something we don't have anymore. She has a soul. And he talks about, they were in Serbia when they were still fighting together as, I guess, soldiers and in the army or something. Yeah. They're in Serbia. Everyone's basically everyone's dead. It's only them left. They're done. And he, Tool, Mickey Rourke's character, sees this lady on a bridge, and he knows she's gonna jump. It's just obvious, Yeah. And he has a chance to, like, reach out to her and say, no, don't do it. Basically, save her. But instead, he just turns around, and then a second later, he hears a splash, and he says, that was my last chance to save what little I had left of my soul, and I didn't. And he says this because Barney, Sylvester Stallone's character, he's feeling the same thing, like something's eating at him. Like, why wouldn't she go? Because she still believes in something he stopped believing in a long time ago, just like Tool, just like Jason Statham's Christmas character. And that's why Lee Christmas.
Lee Christmas, yeah.
That's why Dolph Lundgren is so fucked up. Like, he is he is, he's self-medicating with booze and drugs, Yeah. And that's why Toll Road, especially in the extended version, is very, very, like, quick to anger, because, they're all damaged. So that's why he decides to actually go back and finish the mission. But first, I have to do this on my own, blah, 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 because I don't want to risk you guys. And they, of course, go because they're friends. So it's this, kind of a redemption of the soul, which is a classic script writing thing. You have, the redemption of the soul. Yeah. It's a dark night of the soul, and then you have the redemption. The thing is, that doesn't really work when when they're selling it as a fun, cool, throwback, retro 80s action movie.
Yeah. Like, it's too deep for a quippy action film.
Yes. And these two ideas kind of clash. So you have this super deep wannabe, like, poetic thing, but you also have to have, like, kick-ass action. And they can't both fit in, I mean, they can, but it doesn't work.
They don't make it work.
No.
in this
you have the scene where Jet Li gets in the car with Barney when he's about to leave by himself. And he's like, oh, now we're just going to have to talk with him. Like, we understand you have to do this for yourself, but, like, we're your friends. We've been through hell together. We're here for you. Like, oh, okay. Like, him starting to believe again makes them start to believe again. Exactly, but instead he's just like, I need more money, which is the only thing he talks about in the entire movie. I need more money. Like, haha, that's funny once, maybe. But then here...
But it's overused.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I have to work harder than everyone else. Like, why are you saying this? What does it add? And then they get attacked by Dolph Lundgren, who has now been hired by Eric Roberts. Which is kind of funny. They don't explain how he ends up on Velena in Eric Roberts' office. He's just there all of a sudden with his shotgun. He says, nice bird.
Yeah.
And in the extended edition, you actually see that when he finds out that Christmas and Ross are going to scout out Velena, and he says, is there a place for me? He says, no. That's when he says, I can't trust you anymore. You're out of the team. He actually hides on the plane and gets off in Velena.
Oh.
No, they don't show that.
Well, I mean, how he ends up on Velena is in the shorter version. I mean, it is CIA who hires the team of mercenaries to eliminate the dictator and a renegade CIA agent. So the CIA agent, the renegade agent, probably has, info at, they're going to use these mercenaries. I'll contact the one who seems to be outside at the moment.
Sure, yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's just...
No.
It's nice that they add that. Weird. Yeah, it's like 10 seconds of him stepping out of the plane, basically. Like, oh, why was that in the original?
They could have kept that in the theatrical version.
So then they go back. We do cut... Also, it's annoying that they keep cutting back and forth between the Expendables team back in America and, Eric Roberts' dealings with the dictator on Velena.
Yeah.
Because that's also not really going anywhere. And also, it really muddies the water when the two bad guys are also infighting.
Yes.
Like, it should have just been that the main bad guy was General Garza, and that from the shadows, sort of, you see him hiding behind, like, whispering in his ear, Grima Wormtongue style. You see Eric Roberts, like, puppeteer him from the shadows, like... That would have been the thing. And then in the end, when the shit hits the fan, he just kills Garza and like, the money's mine. I don't need you anymore. And then he runs off, and then, you have the final showdown.
Yeah.
Something like that. But instead, they keep fighting each other and like screaming, and he's like, oh, you belittle me in front of my men. That's not good. Like, okay. They have that like 3 times in the movie. Like, why is that in there? What is the point? And then we get...
You've been babbling a lot about the first movie now.
I know, but it's so dumb. Sorry. But then we get to the final act. The Expendables are together. They're there to kill Garza,
Well, to liberate the country,
Liberate the country from Garza and...
James Monroe.
Right.
Eric Roberts'
and of course, to save Sandra, a.k.a. save Barney Ross's soul, basically.
Yes.
And the last half hour, I don't know, 25 minutes or something, of them setting up the explosives, getting attacked down in the catacombs, and then blowing up the entire fucking compound is pure bliss. At that point, you forgive everything that came before in the movie.
You kind of forget everything that came before in the movie because you're blinded by the lights and explosions.
Yeah. And I don't remember the music in the theatrical, but when they actually blow up the house and start shooting everyone, they start playing this admittedly cheesy but perfect Shinedown song called Boomalay, 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 Boo, which, they say in the second movie. That's where it comes from. They're referencing the first movie, but it's a cut scene from the first movie. It's so weird. Whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just blasting like bandit rock music, I call it röv rock. I don't know what you call it in English. It's cheesy rock music. It's Godsmack, Shinedown. It's like Shinedown, yeah. And they're just killing everyone. I think it's like sure, they killed a few people before that, but it's like over 120 guys are just being slaughtered. And you have Terry Crews with the big his giant
machine gun thingy,
shotgun mini rocket machine gun thing.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Cutting people in half. And you have Jet Li and Jason Statham teaming up on the British third-hand bad guy, just bullying him, basically beating him to a pulp, and then snapping his neck with a high kick. And you have Sylvester Stallone and Steve Austin just pummeling each other, and you have the scene where Steve Austin just runs head first into Sylvester Stallone and like flies into him and throws him into a wall. You know that one?
Yeah.
That's where he breaks his neck or gets a fracture in his neck. Yeah, that's the actual scene. That's why they added the "I got my ass kicked" because he literally did. And then all the shooting once again. Terry Crews just exploding the guard towers with his gun, and then of course Randy Couture and Steve Austin. MMA versus wrestling, battling it out, and of course the MMA guy wins. It is amazing. And then the movie ends with them like hanging out, drinking beer, listening to
throwing
CCR, throwing knives. Perfect. Like that's what the movie should have been.
Yes.
Cool guys coming together, drinking beer, rock music, shooting guns, but it takes an hour and a half to get there.
Yes, because we also have this weird side story of Christmas and his girlfriend, right?
Yeah, once again, that's his he's trying to hold on to what little soul he has left. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just odd. Yeah. And then it's even odder in the second movie because that comes back and they talk about her being not so good.
Yeah, because she cheated on him in the first movie. Yeah, so let's get into the second movie now.
Yes, because you've been talking a lot about the first movie.
Well,
the second movie...
That's because the first movie really lays the groundwork for the whole trilogy.
Sure, of course. Because otherwise there wouldn't be a second or third or even a fourth movie.
And a lot of the returning problems are started, of course, in the first movie.
Yes. However...
Yeah, I'll stop babbling. You can talk about the second.
I think the second movie does it better because they ditch the serious stuff, more or less. The only serious thing they have in the second movie is revenge.
Yes, and that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because it's a very simple concept.
First of all, you have
saving your soul is too much.
Yes.
It's too deep.
I mean, that's still part of it. Like, the only good one in the team dies. That's his speech. Yeah. Why do the good ones die?
Sure.
So it's still there, but yeah, it's not as...
It's not as deep or like, try hard.
Well, once again, they open with an action scene. This time, though, it's fun. It's not just dark and violent, it's fun. It's also not just them standing there, it's like cars, explosions, the plane is involved, boats, helicopters, Arnold Schwarzenegger is there, even though he doesn't do much in that scene, but still. And they really they're introducing the team in a good way. They're like, because at first you see them climbing around, setting up stuff, and you're like, oh, what is this? Oh, what is that? No, that's the third movie, sorry. It's them driving in. We don't really see them, we just see the cars. It says like, oh, painless, knock, knock, coming soon on the snow shoveler thing.
Yeah. Snow shovel? Plow?
Plow, yeah.
Plow, that's what you say.
And then, they enter the base where this guy they're there to rescue is, and they just fuck him up again, like.
Yeah.
And this great kinetic action scene. They all have something to do, They've kind of teamed up 2 people in each car to kind of get the dynamic right. So you have, of course, Statham and Stallone in one, Jet Li and Lundgren in one, and then Couture and Terry Crews in one. And they all have things to do.
Exactly.
And that ends, and you think like oh, okay, so that's like the. And of course, they introduce Liam Hemsworth character, Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid.
Yeah. Who's the new guy on the team? He's the sniper.
Yes. Kid's really good.
Yeah. I used to be good. You just got used to it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, so this is a new dynamic. They're and the movie after that, it's not them like, breaking up the team or anything. They're hanging out at the bar. They're drinking beer. They're having fun. There's rock music playing. Yeah. There's of course, Liam Hemsworth going like, this isn't really for me, I did this one.
Yeah,
I did this one job, but this one job made me enough money to like last me a lifetime. I'm gonna go live with my girlfriend. So like, I'll ride to the end of the month with you guys, but after that I'm out. But yeah, that's good,
It's fair. You're young.
Yeah, he's young. He hasn't lost his soul yet, so Barney would rather see him, get out before it's too late, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sees, a young self.
He has a wife.
Yeah.
He has a life. He has time to explore and experience more. While they're just basically dead already, so they might as well just go out with a bang.
Yeah. So then, Mr. Church, Bruce Willis's character, who hired them for the first movie, he shows up like all spooky like. In the plane when Sylvester Stallone is contemplating his life. Billy, why wasn't I like you, Billy? And he's
reminiscing.
Yeah, and he's like, you screwed me over in Valena. I'm like, did he? He killed Garza. He killed Monroe. I don't know what he did wrong, really, but okay. So now he has to, do another.
And they were supposed to bring Monroe back alive, I think, and they failed that.
They don't say
that might be. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know.
There's something like that. They did fail a little bit. They succeeded in the end, obviously, but not with like a fine detail. They missed that one.
And it says, and you stole $5 million from me. Like, that's also like, that's wrong, because they got half of the money up front, and if they weren't successful, they didn't get the other half. So I don't know how they got the other half of that $5 million from the first movie.
Nah, I don't know.
Yeah, what
details?
It doesn't matter. It's
semantics.
just weird that they wouldn't understand their own movie like that. Anyway, she's like, now you have to go get this thing that's on a plane that crashed in Uzbekistan or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember. Somewhere.
Yeah. So they go on this mission, and they bring along a hacker, Maggie.
Well, they get forced to bring the hacker because she's the only one who can open the safe.
Yeah. So they go...
Maggie, yeah, she's just Maggie.
And it turns out it's not as simple as it first appeared. Because they get to the plane, they get the thing out, but then they're attacked, or, they're ambushed by Jean-Claude Van Damme's Jean Villain, which, is his name.
Yeah. They're very inventive with... Well, what was the island's name in the first movie?
Valena.
Yeah. They're very, very inventive with names for bad guys, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're all just villain in different fonts.
Yeah. And he, of course, then he kills Billy. No, the one good expendable. Why him? No! And he takes the thing from the vault and runs away. And they're like, we gotta get him for Billy.
Yeah. Even though they still have a job to do, but they focus on the fact that they need to revenge Billy's death.
So then they say, so what are we going to do? And he says, track him, find him, kill him. Which I love that, though. They dolly in on him when he goes, track him, find him, kill him.
I both love and hate it. It's so stiff, but Yes.
I love it. I think it's so good.
There's something about the performance. It's just really hitting, but I know what he wants to do.
I don't know. I love it.
I see it, but he's not hitting the exact note. I don't know.
I kept repeating it for like 5 minutes as the movie was rolling. Just track him, find him, kill him. Anyway.
I think you repeated it for years after we saw the movie the first time.
Then the movie enters the slow phase.
Yes.
Where, I mean, literally they're walking, and then they get to a village, and they talk to some ladies, and then Christmas has to go back to the plane to get the weapons, and he's literally gone for a day.
Yeah.
They do punch some of the bad guys, the Sangs as they're called, which I think is supposed to be some, connection to blood, because sangre. What is
yeah?
Blood in French? Isn't it sang something? No, I might be wrong.
Sangri, something. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, but we don't. That's just like they just punch them. There's no like cool action scene.
That's when they want to get the information,
yes.
Right?
And then they find out the information, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna bunker down here in this fake American town because it's like a bombing range."
Yeah.
And they just hang out for a night, and and there once again you think like, this is where we like get to know the characters, but they talk about what food they were gonna eat
on their deathbed.
Yeah, like their last meal. And then Barney doesn't sleep. He smokes a cigar, and Maggie is like, "Oh, you're thinking about Billy, right?" But yeah. I'm like, "Oh, I failed him." Blah blah blah. It doesn't really go anywhere though. And then they wake up in the morning, and
they get attacked.
Yeah, the Sangs appear, and then we have a pretty good action scene where. Chuck Norris shows up and just saves them.
Saves the day.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know who he is. He's
the lone wolf.
Yeah. Well, he just appears, but that's fine because he's Chuck Norris.
But they mention he's had something to do. He's trying to like get to the bottom of this crew for some reason.
Yeah, but what are the odds? That's
it's movie magic.
It's ridiculous, but it's fine because it's Chuck Norris, and they even make a Chuck Norris meme joke. The Cobra.
Yes. Then they get to the village, they find the women, they talk to them, they go find the men in the bunker, in the mines or whatever it is.
Yeah, because that's what Jean-Claude Van Damme was looking for. He was looking for weapons-grade plutonium, which had been hidden in a mine. And that's what was the information where you could find it was on that thing from the crashed plane.
Yeah. Nothing really exciting happens until they get out of there.
Yeah, there's a bit where they help the ladies in the village fight off some guys. It's a fine little action scene, but that's nothing spectacular.
It's very little though.
Yeah, then they get to the they fly the plane into the mine, which is cool, but there's no big action scene in there. They just the villains escape, trap them in the mine, and they get saved by the ladies. And then they go like...
And Christmas, right? No, wait, he's in there with them.
Yeah.
Is it the ladies who drilled through the wall?
No, sorry, I'm sorry. That's Schwarzenegger's character.
Oh, right, Schwarzenegger,
he shows
right,
up.
Yeah. Forgot about him.
He shows up somehow. Oh, because Bruce Willis's church was like tracking them as well, and noticed that they were stuck in there. That's what happened.
Oh yeah.
So then they go like, "Oh, so you want to stop this guy?" And so then it's, he's at the airport. Let's go get him before he gets away with the plutonium. And then you have a huge shootout at the airport, which is once again, very good.
The best scene in the entire
and once
movie.
again, all this awkward pacing, the bad dialogue, the no real character arcs, everything is forgotten because there's just like
bullets and one-liners.
Millions of bullets, cheesy one-liners, buckets of blood, admittedly CGI blood, but still.
Sure.
Ultra violence, death and destruction, explosions, helicopters, knives, wonderful, wonderful cheesy action.
A lot of it is like campy even, how they make fun of each other's one-liners.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
The one time it slows down and like breaks the immersion is when Stallone goes one-on-one with Villain. What's his name?
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah.
And he's like to Maggie, like, if I don't walk out that door, you kill him.
Shoot whoever comes out of there, as long as it's not me.
Basically, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool.
And then you have, once again, Jason Statham teeing off on Scott Adkins. You have the big time modern action hero versus the like direct to DVD action hero Scott Adkins, who he's like and I say this with full respect for the man. He's a great man, but he's like the B tier Jason Statham, basically. Jason Statham's movies cost like $30 million. Scott Adkins' movies cost $3 million. But he has done some kick-ass movies, so
yes,
all respect to him. But yeah, so
not his fault. The movies are cheaper.
Yes. So they show off and they cut his head off with a helicopter. That's good. And they kill the guy. They get on the plane. They say goodbye to Maggie, who leaves with Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, and then they drink beer on the plane, and the movie's over.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like
that's it.
Once again, like it's at least here they're more like a team. Dolph Lundgren is actually on the team.
He's a little bit awkward still, but he's not excommunicated.
Yeah.
We have more of the stupid one-liners and witty banter.
Yeah, and there are a few action scenes, and the action doesn't feel super dark and gritty and super violent.
No.
It's like fun action, sort of. More fun, at least.
Yes.
But it's still, the pacing is awful. The villain is boring as hell. Jean-Claude Van Damme has nothing to do. He's great when he's on screen, but he's barely on screen.
He has cool moves. That's it. The kicking the knife into the chest thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, sure, it looks cool as fuck, but that's all he is.
He does get to do his spin kick, but they don't like show it off really. That's his big move, the spin kick, his splits.
Yeah.
I was like, damn! I wanted to see it like in slow motion or something, but no, they don't do that. It's like Sylvester Stallone. I mean, he's not directing this one; it's Simon West. But I mean, it's still Stallone's movie. Like, it's like he doesn't understand the movie he's trying to make. Like, why don't you do the things?
You need these are movies that need fan service.
Yes, that's all this is. It's supposed to be fan service.
But he kind of misses the mark.
Yes.
Surprisingly, considering how many marks they actually hit.
Yeah. And Jet Li is like in the movie for 3 minutes because there was scheduling conflict, so he had to like back out. That's why he's only in the opening action scene, and then he.
Yeah, I mean he brings the opening scene target back to wherever
to China.
He's supposed to
so
go.
it makes sense that he jumps out there because he's Chinese. So, but then he doesn't come back.
Because he's in China.
I always wanted to add like in the end of the movie, like we made it out, and then they're like, shit, we forgot about Yin Yang. And then the movie ends.
We need to go pick him up.
And he's like, bastards! Just standing there, still standing there.
Yeah.
Weeks after that opening scene, or whatever. Or something. Or at least, shit, we forgot about Yin Yang. Something like that. Nope.
Yeah. Or him coming back. How did the mission go? At least, like, something.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. So it really has all the same problems as the first one. It's just less of them.
Yeah, and it's more campy, which I appreciate.
And that's because Simon West he's better when it comes to action movies. Because
we also have more writers on this one.
Yes, because the guy he's made one of the best action movies of all time. He made Con Air. He's also made some bad ones. He made what the fuck is it called?
He made Tomb Raider.
Yeah, he made Tomb Raider. Oof, we've talked about that. Check out our commentary track on patreon.com/don'tmakescene.
Yeah, that's a commentary track.
He's also done Stolen, which is admittedly a decent like heist movie starring Nicolas Cage, directed by Simon West.
That was after this.
Yes, 2012.
Technically.
Yeah. Well, same years, but yeah.
Yeah. the thing he did before was The Mechanic.
Right. And The Mechanic is it's one of those, Jason Statham movies. It's fine, but it's also a very slow movie. He has a pacing issue a lot of times. The only time really he doesn't is Con Air. Except for the ending of that movie. The movie ends, and then there's like 5 minutes more. And then it ends. Oh, okay.
There's an extra ending we don't really need.
Basically. So, but at least he understands cheesy action. And he's made some real cheesy action from the 90s, So that's better at least. And also Sylvester Stallone can then focus on just being the actor instead of having to be actor, producer, director, writer as he was in the first movie.
Yeah, he now is just actor, producer, writer.
Yeah, but none of that. He only has to be actor during the production,
Sure.
So it works better, and it's funny because when that movie came out, I disliked it a lot. I thought like, oh, this was a bad sequel, and for the longest time, it was the one I liked the least of these three.
I think the airport scene really redeems it for me, though.
Yeah, it does. And I think that the rest of the action scenes are good enough, to kind of hold it together for that boring middle part. It's still boring, but it works. It works. And it's not confusing and full of bad dialogue. It's just a little bit boring, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Rather that than than confusing and annoying.
To be honest, it's not in the entire airport scene. It's literally Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis interactions in the airport that is like redeeming the entire movie. With the little car and them both picking up their guns and, oh, I have shoes bigger than this.
My shoes bigger than this guy, and he rips the door off. Yeah,
and stealing each other's one-liners.
Yeah. You've been back. I'll be back. Yippee-ki-yay.
And yippee-ki-yay. I love that.
And finally, unlike in the first movie, even though they're not teaming up, well, we do get some scenes where they're actually standing next to each other, but we do get Arnold Schwarzenegger with a gun. We do get Bruce Willis with a gun. They're all shooting bad guys. And there's even the scene where they all three shoot that one guy. And like, yes!
They just stand there on the line and shoot
That's
the same dude.
That's what we wanted. Yeah. Imagine if Jet Li and Dolph Lundgren was on the side as well. You had 5 of the big actors are standing together just going, boom, 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 boom. That would have been awesome.
Yes.
But no.
No.
But it got closer to that, the dream. The dream that was the Expendables.
Because by then, they're like, okay, so the first one did well. Let's just ramp it up a little bit, and the other ones will join properly, or more properly, I suppose. I mean, they're still not in the movie a lot. We still have a few scenes with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis specifically.
Yeah, they're in this...
But they do end up showing up for the big showdown at the end.
Yes, which is fine.
Yes, which is where we really want them. We don't need them acting in the other parts.
No, not really.
Bruce Willis is like the best actor of all 3 of the big guys, I suppose, but I understand why he didn't want to.
I mean, he wanted to. It was just,
Yeah, but like maybe he wouldn't. It would have been weird to have all 3 of them be like the main character. Like Stallone is the main character.
Sure.
So I understand how that led up to having a 3rd movie.
Oh yeah, because this one made even more money. This made like
exactly.
It made like $350 million on a slightly bigger budget. It cost $100 million, so let's say $180 to $200 million to make. So they broke even at like $250. So they made a cool like $80 million extra on this. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, let's make another one then. And they did.
Sure, but I don't understand the choice to add in, as they call it, new blood.
Well, I mean, the guys.
It feels like an attempt to start a new franchise or like continue the franchise with the new people.
I honestly think, because so I don't know when Stallone is born, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is born 1947, and I think Sylvester Stallone is around the same time. They were old they were old before the first movie.
Hey, I share my birthday with him.
Who? Sylvester Stallone?
Stallone, yeah.
When is he born?
July 6th.
Yeah, but what year?
46.
46, so he's even older than Arnold, okay. But But, age was never a thing in the first movie.
No.
Not in the second one either. So by the third one, they have to address the fact that, like, these guys are old. That's why they are, like, the legends that they are, because they're fucking old. Yes. I mean, they were pushing 60. They were over 60 when the first movie came out. Now it's 4 years later.
Yeah.
So, you got to bring in some new blood, but also, there's egos involved. But not just that, but also, because people still love the originals. They love the originals.
Well, you come see the Expendables for the originals. Like, you're not going to watch the Expendables if it's just new people.
Exactly.
That's not the same thing. It's not the Expendables then. These are the new dudes. Yeah. Who cares about them?
So, in the third one, they are... First, the movie starts with them rescuing Wesley Snipes. Finally, Wesley Snipes is out of prison. He can be in the movie.
Which is funny that they kind of rescue him from a prison.
That is literally an in-joke. Because he says, like, what were you doing time for? He says, tax fraud.
Yeah.
As a joke. It's probably something else in the movie, but in real life, it was tax fraud.
Exactly.
So he's out. He's finally in the movie. And then they're like, oh, but we only freed you because we were one man short. So we have to go do this now. We have to stop this bomb from being sold or whatever. So they go to Mogadishu to find the bomb. But there they run into the guy who's selling the bomb. And it turns out it's Stonebanks. And you're like, who the fuck is Stonebanks?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's it's the co-founder of the Expendables, the disgraced creator who was exiled because he was too dark. Played by fucking Mel Gibson, who was kind of had like a return then after his literal exile from Hollywood for a few years. I mean, he kept... That's the thing. People say, like, oh, he disappeared. He kept working for all those years. It was just smaller things. And then he kind of came back big in, like, 2016. Because then he made he directed that fucking movie, whatever it was called. Some action, some war movie. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Bloodfather?
No.
No. That's
the World War II movie with Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield.
He directed that one?
Yes. What's it called? Ridge.
Wait.
Ridge. Crackwater Ridge?
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw
Ridge. Right.
Anyway. And he almost mortally wounds Terry Crews. And they're like, no! Caesar! His name is Hail Caesar. Oh, once again, we need revenge. But it's also... kind of a grim reminder of all the people they have lost. Like, so like, no more of this. This needs to stop now. And once again, he doesn't want, they're getting old. And also, he doesn't want to risk their lives because this is too dangerous. So he brings in the new blood. Which, you're thinking that they should pick, like, new action heroes? Like, younger action stars? Problem was, this was 2014. And we've talked about this. This is early 2014 or summer 2014, so we don't even have John Wick yet. John Wick has yet to revive the action genre. These movies were just the little anomalies. They didn't really revive the action genre. So there are no new action heroes for him to recruit. So instead he gets Ronda Rousey and Glenn Powell. It's like, who are these people?
Yeah, well...
I mean, we knew who Ronda Rousey was, of course, because she was a fighter. We knew her from that. I mean, and...
Yes.
It's a classic thing, athletes going into movies, usually doing physical movies, because that's what they know.
In the first two movies, we have a wrestler and an MMA fighter.
And an ex-football player, yeah.
Yeah.
And here we have...
of course.
What's his name? Ortiz something, the welterweight boxing champion.
Victor Ortiz.
And then you have sort of like a teen heartthrob in Kellen Lutz, I suppose, because he was in the...
He was the big buff guy in the Twilight movies.
Yeah, but he was never he never became like a mainstream star. I know they kind of want him to be one. They made a Hercules movie for him the year before this. And of course, he was in this, supposed to be like the one that Barney kind of saw himself in. Like, oh, I understand you, kid. But that never really goes anywhere.
Like, one of the, like, Street Fighter movies or something. It's not Street Fighter. What's it called?
I don't know. Mortal Kombat?
It's a couple of, like underground fighting movies. Like the kids are fighting.
Red Belt or something like that?
Yeah, like Never Back Down or whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like one of those?
I don't know.
No, he wasn't.
I never saw those movies.
Because honestly, I just know him as he was in Twilight. He was the big buff dude in Twilight.
Yeah.
That's all he was. And so, Glenn Powell is the guy where you know his face, but you never know where you've seen him.
Yeah. Well, now of course we all know him as Hangman in
Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. Yes. But then before that, I vaguely knew him because I'd seen him in like bit parts on TV. I think I'd seen him in some movie. So yeah, this new team. I don't know. They just picked random people. It feels like.
Yeah, who looked buff.
Yeah.
And strong, I guess.
But then, of course, they're no match for the old guard. So Stonebanks.
Oh, they literally fail.
Yeah, Stonebanks. He ambushes them. Even though they catch him first, and he has a nice little monologue in the back of that car, talking about like, oh, you know what, you're calling me the bad guy. You know what Barney has done. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Just acting circles around everyone. He's so good in this movie. And he's not even trying. It's so funny. So, of course, then, the old team comes back and we'll help you get them back. Oh! But before that, of course, the one character who kind of has a backstory, who kind of is like the heart of the movie, because he's, once again, this, like, the soldier with a wounded soul, sort of, Antonio Banderas. Also being like the comedic sidekick, I suppose, in this movie.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how he feels like he's some sort of outcast. He doesn't feel like he's like not playing his classic Antonio Banderas cool guy thing. He's playing this like jumping around jokester dude.
Yeah.
He's not doing what Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham and all the other action heroes are doing, playing their old characters basically.
Well,
a little bit maybe, but that's not how I remember.
Well, I'm gonna do one of these again because when you talked about we've seen time travel so many times. Tell me some movies Antonio Banderas has made that is not Desperado.
I'm thinking of like, that one and The Mask of Zorro. That's like the ones I'm thinking of.
And he's very different characters in those two. I'm just saying.
Sure,
he doesn't really,
but he's not jumping around like doing parkour and giggling. In either of them. I mean, he jumps around a little bit in Zorro, but not like this.
But that's what I mean. He doesn't really have a character. Because he's like a real actor. In Hollywood, he has been typecast as like, a B-grade action star for some reason, making lots of, admittedly, pretty good action movies, like what's it called, Vow of Silence, Act of Vengeance, bunch of those kind of shit movies. But he's fine in them.
Yeah.
But like outside of Hollywood, like back in, I think he's from Spain. Or at least he acts a lot in Spain.
Yeah.
He has been in some of the like greatest like actual films ever. Okay, admittedly, I was going to bring up one, but that was actually made after this. But he's been in God fucking damn it, I can never remember fucking names. The movie I was going to say was Pain and Glory, but that was 2019, so I wanted to bring up an actual new movie. Or an old movie.
Honestly, you know how I remember him? I remember him as the cool dad in Spy Kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. But he was in Almodovar movies. He's like in what's it called? Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. He's in I think he's in Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. He's like in real movies,
Sure. I just don't think that character jumping around being all silly suits, like he feels like he's so different from everyone else then.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think that works for him. I think he nails it as the character.
No, he definitely does it well. I just don't like how they wrote him.
No, but that's the thing. He's supposed to be annoying. And
sure.
that's the switch. That's like he's like an actual character in the movie. Because at first he's like, oh, he's just annoying. But then there's that little hint when they're gonna recruit him the first time, and they realize like, oh, you sent in a fake resume. This is the third time this month. And he's like, give me a job. All I know is killing, he says. And like, ha ha ha, laughs it off. Like, oh, okay, that's dark. And then later when he kind of just shows up, when Barney is going to go save the new kids by himself, he's like, please bring me along, please. It's like, fine, And he starts talking about, all the people he worked with, Tiger and whatever the other guys were called. He's just talking and talking.
All the coolest and best people in the world that he worked with.
And he's singing that the Bridegroom of Death song, which is an actual song that like the Spanish infantry sings or whatever. You don't know that as the audience, but it's adding depth to the character.
Yes.
And then when the crew shows up and they all actually go in the forest when he keeps talking, which if you wanna, that might be a sign of PTSD.
Well, they all have some sort of PTSD, to be honest. They're just showing it very differently. That's his way
of dealing with it. That's why he keeps talking about them and talking about all the missions he went on with the best guys in the world. And then Barney asks him, like, where are your crews? But they're all gone. So it was Tiger, whatever, Libre or whatever they were called.
Yeah, the other ones.
So yeah, I'm the only one left. Like, that's what happened. Like, he's kind of stuck in that.
Yeah.
And that's why when he says killing is everything I'm good at, it's because that's all he has left. He's an expendable, basically. It's like, look,
sure. He just never joined them. He had his own crew. And they've all been expended.
Yeah, and it's kind of a sad character. It's like, that's nice. But then I just go back to, he's being funny. And then he
just wants to be friends. He needs to be friends. Which he literally asks, do you want to be friends?
So I like that. And that's why he's my favorite character. Like, in all three movies, I think my favorite character.
Sure. He's just so jarring. But I understand why, but it's so jarring. His acting and his character compared to everyone else basically being these like brooding, serious, big dudes.
Yeah. But
even like Ronda Rousey is more of a like serious, brooding person.
Well, once again, because
Antonio Banderas,
none of them could do a character like that because they can't act.
No, that's true.
I'm sorry,
but he's acting. He's too good.
And then, but it's also
to them.
If you want to get racial about it, like the fast mouth, Spanish speaking people, they speak very fast. If you want to go that route,
it's a fast language. Yes.
And also like he's not as big and hulking as everyone else. He's more wiry.
No, he's
let's
slender.
Make him a parkour, fast-paced guy.
But they could have done that with like Jet Li as well, couldn't they? He's been jumping around in his earlier movies.
Yeah, but once again, he wasn't able to be in this movie because of scheduling conflicts.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So fuck it, we'll write all of the jumping around that we were supposed to put on Jet Li. We'll put that on you as well. You get that too. So you get double the amount.
So they show up in this place, Asmanistan, which is very funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like literal countries are called like Azerbaijan or something, but Asmanistan, it just sounds like ass. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, they go there because that's where Stonebanks have to, like, they're here, come and get them, and this creepy.
This is basically his country now.
Yeah, Heath Ledger Joker home video thing.
Yes. Ooh, we need to talk about that because the acting he does, actually, he could have played the Joker in anything, basically.
No, I don't think so.
I just when I saw it again this time, I was like, did he mimic the Joker? Was he inspired?
I think they said, remember that Heath Ledger scene in The Dark Knight? Something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll do that.
Yeah. So they go there. It's
very good,
obvious setup. The entire army of the country shows up to this bombed out hotel.
Yes.
And
they kind of knew that, though, because they knew he had like all of the officials in his pocket.
Yes. And then once again... and this is like literally the only action scene in the movie other than the opening.
Yes.
There's a little bit of action in the middle, but not really. It's more of a like, cool spec ops thing,
Because they're so meticulous and planned, so it doesn't feel like action. It's just sneaky.
Yeah, so other than the opening scene, there's no action in this movie.
No. Until
the end. And then we have like, I think it's over half an hour of non-stop murder. I think it's like 400.
Oh, yeah,
what's the body count? I think it says somewhere. I think it's like over 400 people just being slaughtered in this movie.
I don't remember. I didn't read that specific.
I think it's in the trivia. Hold on. I have to cut this out.
And this is quiet.
Make a note.
Yeah.
Around 19. Yes, around 110. Body. Oh, right. Here it is. Holy fuck. And yeah, sure. They kill a lot of people before this, but the brunt of it is here. And it's 480 people. The body count is 480. That's a lot. And it's there.
That is a lot.
And there's just non-stop. And this might have been like one of the greatest action set pieces of all time, if not for that one little pesky detail. You see, the first and second movies are like hard, R ratings. Because there's a lot of blood, dismemberments.
Yes.
Really rough violence. Here, I know the reason, but for some reason, decided to go for a PG-13. Because they wanted to reach a wider audience. And that is, what a death knell for a movie like this.
Sylvester Stallone have admitted that was a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, why would you, the one thing these kind of movies do well is the action. You're gonna nerf it so that kids can go see it? What the fuck?
I mean, there's still a lot of action, but you could have ramped it up a little bit more if you kept it R-rated.
It's just the fact that there's no blood, there's no impact, there's no oomph to the action.
They're just lying there.
Even when they're stabbing them in the face, there's no blood. Come on! Jason Statham running around throwing 16 million knives into people and there's no blood. Where's the blood? And that's kind of funny because that was actually an idea they had for the first movie. That's why most of the blood in the first and second movie is all CG squibs. Because they filmed it basically so they could do a PG-13 cut of it. And then there's just, I know they tested that with a test audience for the first movie. They were like, no, this sucks ass. So they just added
It looks silly.
Yeah, they just added in the digital blood to make it all gory and get it to an R rating instead. And it worked. The first and second movie made hundreds of millions of dollars at this point.
Yeah.
So for the third one, they were like, no, but I think this might work. And it didn't. It's the most poorly received one, not only for that, mainly because there's more problems with it, but,
sure.
But that's a big one. But even if it's the most poorly received, it still made as much money as the first movie. It didn't quite get up to the height of the second one, but still, it still made over $200 million on a smaller budget this time, only $80 million again, only. So they still make...
Yeah, but there's more big-ass actors. They demand more salaries. And
so that's the big problem, though. There's no blood. I mean, there is blood, but I mean, there's a little bit of blood on the lip of Mel Gibson when he gets headbutted by Stallone in the car.
Yeah, and I think Ronda Rousey has it as well when he's manhandling her when they've captured them.
But there's no...
Which is the only creepy scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's the kind of blood you're allowed to do in PG-13. You can have blood smeared, on a wound on the face.
Yeah.
You can't have blood...
But you can't have it splash.
Yes, exactly. You can't have the splatter. That's no flowing blood, basically, is the rule.
It cannot come out of people. It can be on them.
Yes, exactly. That's the rule, if I'm not wrong. The only time they kind of break that is the final showdown between Stallone and Gibson when they fight in the little water thing. When he shoots him, it's actually
but then there's water involved.
Yeah, there's water involved. And when they shoot him, there's actually squibs exploding. It's just not spurting blood. It's just red dots, basically. But still, it's actual blood.
And again, they've made their clothes wet and dark so you can't see it too properly. Yeah. There's they're
working around
to hide it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll get back to that final fight because it has one of the greatest lines in cinema history. But before that, the other big problem with this movie is that the cast is too big. Now we have two expendable teams, so at the end they're 10 people.
I mean, on the poster, there's, do you really want to count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people.
Yeah. And
some of them are barely in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn Powell he's climbing up an elevator shaft for the entire finale of the movie. He's
basically, yes.
No, that's literally it. And then he's sitting on the roof, asks the other people to get up on the roof, and he says, the battery's at 2%, you need to go now. He doesn't do anything.
Kelsey Grammer's Bonaparte.
He's just a recruiter guy.
Again, he's like the guy in the...
He's Mickey Rourke from the first movie.
Yeah, he's the guy in the chair. So he's just there talking.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, Harrison Ford, well, he does some cool...
Yes, of course. Yeah, he shows up. He's the replacement for Bruce Willis, who he asked for too much money. So they were like, nope. That's funny, though. We should address that, because this is 2014, which means even in the first movie, which came out in 2010, if you watch the gag reel to that, he has problems pronouncing certain words, specifically Velena. He keeps calling Velena. And they're like, oh, that's so crazy. I can't get it right, damn it. But looking at it now, I think that's when his aphasia started.
Yeah.
He might have even known about it back. We don't know. We don't, because he hasn't, I don't think he's ever mentioned how long he knew about it. But it's around this time when he started just doing shit movies, basically. And his rates went up 1 million a day. And that was why they couldn't afford him for this movie. Because they would have needed him for 4 days, which meant $4 million. And they wanted to give him $750,000 a day. And he's like, nope, it's 1 million now.
Because
that's when he started his plan. Like, in a decade, I won't be able to speak. So I can't act anymore. So I'm just going to make as much money as possible in the next 10 years. Which is, understandable, but also sad that he's kind of soiled his own legacy at this point.
I mean, he did do Looper just after Expendables 2.
Yeah, I mean, he still did a couple of good movies, but I mean, in the last, now it's 2023. In the last 5 years, if you look at his IMDb, it's just garbage. Shit that he where he has like a second starring role, where he mostly just shows up on like phone calls and like 1 or 2 action
Mainly,
scenes.
I'd say in 2021 he started, because he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies in 2021.
Yeah, and
and that was pandemic still kinda.
And
and then in 22 he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 11 movies.
And all those were like a weekend, maybe 3 days of work for him. So he made $20 million in those 2 years. Something he would have made like from one movie back in the 2000s.
Yes.
But
But also, he knows his own limits as well.
Yeah.
So
like I'm not holding it against him, but it's
a shame.
At that time, it was like, oh, he was just being greedy. But like, oh, I kind of get it, even though it's sad that.
Kind of get it.
Now he's going to be remembered for all the shit movies he made in the last years of his career, unfortunately. Oh yeah, Die Hard.
There were a bunch of
fucking Prince of Venice or whatever it's called.
There were a bunch of other people they wanted to have that couldn't make it. Wait,
yeah, I know even in the first movie they wanted Nicolas Cage, they wanted Kurt Russell. I know they wanted Steven Seagal for the third movie, or maybe that was the second movie, I'm not sure.
Maybe that was the second movie.
A lot of other action heroes that...
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I just said that,
They wanted to have Mick Rourke come back, but he couldn't for some reason. Steven Seagal, yeah.
Patrick who?
Oh, never mind. No one.
Okay.
That was another person for another thing. I just read the name and went, oh, no. Wasn't that name.
And...
No, but there were...
But anyway, so that the big problem, though, is that there's too many characters that sure, in the final action scene, they all, run around, they shoot. Except for Kellen Lutz, who just decides to, ride a bike for the last 15 minutes. He does one thing where, draws the fire to the room where Barney is so that, because he's run out of bullets. That's okay, that's cool, I suppose. But he doesn't really do much else.
It's also a bit too long.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's...
No, but like the whole recruiting bit could have been cut shorter. I don't really care about seeing where the youngsters come from.
Well, let's get to that then, because I think this is the most actual movie-like movie of the three. Where you have the opening, you have like the introducing of the characters, then you have the inciting incident, Terry Crews being shot by Gibson. So now we have a mission. We have to get him, but we need a new team for it. So they go and find the new team, and you have to kind of introduce them since we haven't seen these characters before. Maybe it goes on for a little too long. I don't think so, though. This movie is structured very well, I think.
Yes, I agree on that. But the characters the new people are so boring.
I know.
I don't care.
That's the problem. It's not interesting characters.
I don't really care that Glenn Powell's hanging from a cliff and he's a cool hacker at the same time. Because first of all, we don't see him hack. We see him climbing a fucking wall, failing and parachuting down.
And then he
and then all of a sudden he's the hacker?
He's pointing at a blueprint when they're going to go into the museum and get stone banks in the first attempt. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then in the third action scene, he's just climbing to...
And talking about a computer box on his arm. No, I don't care about you. You're useless. Cool dude, sure, but no. Ronda Rousey's introduction is just weird.
Yeah, they're trying to do some...
Like she's
trying to do a boss lady
pretty girl in a dress.
She says men all the time.
Work.
Men. Like, okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. First of all, this is gonna sound stupid, but she looks weird in a tight dress like that.
She doesn't have the slender, long-legged build of a
She would have been
classically
much
attractive
cooler.
woman. She's very wide.
Put her in like a girl boss power suit, and it would have been much better.
The stuff she wears in the end when they're at the bar looks much better on her. Yeah.
And even if she wanted to be more dressed up and more, because she's at a club, but put her in like a pantsuit of some sort. Not like a tight, skimpy little red dress that looks like it's from like the early 2000s. It
doesn't work, yeah, and she walks like a man, so it just looks weird.
Because she can't walk in heels, I'm sorry, but she can't.
Yeah, I know.
They're just painting her to be more awkward than cool, which ruins her entire character then.
Yeah.
Same with what they choose to put her in, like, when they're in the fights, because she has these, like, weird, tight leggings on her arms with cutouts for her armpit.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about.
Her fashion is so weird, it ruins her entire character.
I don't think it ruins her character, but she looks weird, yeah.
Yeah, but they're trying to make her, like, this feminine, cool person. No, just make her cool.
Yeah, it's Ronda Rousey. She's not, I mean, she's a woman, but she's not feminine in that sense. No, exactly.
It's not Megan Fox trying to be a cool person. Yeah. It's already a cool person trying to be action cool. Just leave her be action cool. She doesn't have to be Megan Fox.
Exactly. I do think though, because she kind of teams up with names again.
Yeah, which one did she team up with again?
In the final fight when he
Galgo,
right. And he kind of charms her. She just looks like she's like transfixed or something, like, and then they fight together. And that's once again, basically my favorite part of that action sequence is them fighting together.
Sure, yeah.
I remember back when this came out. This was my favorite because of how much action there was in the end, and I dreamt up this entire basically like. Marvel, or I guess Expendables cinematic universe leading up to another team-up movie, Expendables 4, not 10 years, but maybe 5 years later, where you would have a solo Christmas movie, you would have a Luna, which is Ronda Rousey, and Galago, Banderas team-up movie, where they kind of go off doing missions on their own. And I think somewhere they would like come out like every other year, like maybe a Randy Couture, Terry Crews team-up movie as well. I'm not sure. I don't remember the idea. But the idea would be that, like, in one of these movies, like the last one before the team up, they would actually be like, they would kind of join all the secondary characters together for a big team up, but they would, they would get pinned down like, we need help, and then they bring in the big guns. They bring in Sylvester Stallone, and they bring together the actual Expendables for the fourth Expendables movie. And now they kind of did that without all the movies in between 3 and 4, because the fourth one is coming out now.
I think I've seen like a teaser, but I've actually actively avoided proper trailers.
Yes, I haven't read who's in it except for what's on the poster. I see that Terry Crews is not on the poster, which sucks, so he probably won't be in it. I hope he is.
I mean, yeah.
There's been speculations ever since 2014. Are any of the new blood going to be in the new movie? I don't think so, but I would like to see maybe,
They're not on the poster.
No, yeah, but I would like to see Wesley Snipes come back, but I don't think he's acting anymore, so I don't think so.
We have a couple of new ones instead, of course. Yeah. Well, new ones for the Expendable universe. They're not new actors. They're definitely not new action stars.
We have Iko Uwais and Tony Jaa, of course, representing the more modern style of fighting, more martial arts movies.
Yes.
And Megan Fox, who became an action star all of a sudden when she made that.
What?
Well, she made a movie a couple of years ago where because you always knew her as like, the pretty girl in the Transformers movie.
Sure.
And then she was just, I think she plays like a. What the fuck? I don't remember. It was. Hold on. I am. Oh my god. She made a movie called. Damn it! It's not on the list. Where is it? Rogue. She made in 2020. She kind of came back from not really made a lot of movies, and made this basically direct-to-DVD movie.
She's a mercenary.
She's a mercenary leading a squad of soldiers on their mission to rescue hostages in a remote part of Africa. And I didn't hear people talk much about the movie, but I heard people saying like, "Oh, she's pretty good at action stuff." Like, oh, okay. So now I guess that's her new thing. Maybe she's doing this now, the Expendables.
Maybe, yeah.
And I've always liked her. I think there's untapped potential there. Especially if you look at movies like Jennifer's Body. We've talked about Jennifer's Body on the podcast.
Yes.
How it's much better than you think. It's fucking Karen Kusamana who makes it, so it's a true feminist movie, That's not what we're talking about here though. But whatever.
No. If you want to know that, you watch that episode instead. Oh right, I never watched Till Death, but I think she from 2021. That's also she actually gets to do some action, but she's more like desperate because she's being attacked.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
A woman is left handcuffed to her dead husband as part of a sick revenge plot. Ew. Unable to unshackle, she has to survive as 2 killers arrive to finish her off. That's the thing. I saw a trailer for Till Death, and then I saw her, like, a clip of her from the Expendables 4 trailer, and I was like, is that the same movie? Because it's very similar at certain points.
Yeah, it actually got pretty good reviews. It has a 66 Metascore. It's pretty good.
Yeah, this is one of those movies, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I need to see this, but it never really came to Sweden that way.
You probably have to buy it on
it kind of
DVD
disappeared.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got an 80 from the New York Times. Holy shit. The straightforward romp focuses its attention on its cunning and no-nonsense Scream Queen. Oh, is it more of a horror, maybe? And what Fox lacks in dramatic prowess, she makes up for in pure wicked magnetism. Yeah.
You know what? I am adding it to my watch list. Because I remembered it now that I found it on her IMDb.
Anyway, back just to finish off number 3. Now we start talking about number 4. We're going to do that next week. The third one, once again, you kind of forget all the faults of it because of that ending.
Sure, yes.
But that just...
It's still a bit much in the end because there's so many different points of view we get cut to or between.
Once again, it's too big of a...
It's a little bit messy. Yes. Which in conclusion then...
Yeah. That is...
Makes...
The whole trilogy, the whole franchise up to this point, we don't know what the fourth is going to be yet.
No.
It's like we said in the beginning, it's this weird where none of the movies actually work. Not really.
But we forgive it for the ending action.
But they bring it back with amazing action in the end every time.
Yes.
And it's these like if you break it down on a objective level, awful movies, really, really bad movies. But goddamn, you can't not enjoy them in the end.
Exactly.
And I guess
they're deceiving that way.
And I guess that's the closest they'll get to their like 80s counterparts. Because those movies were usually pretty bad, tongue-in-cheek, cheesy movies that you couldn't not enjoy them, though. That was a thing.
Because the action was so good.
That was Commando. That was the Rambo sequels. I was Predator, but Predator is actually a masterpiece, for real. No joke. No, I think we've talked about that. That is an actual
We've talked about it, yeah.
Anyway. And also, like I said, these movies kind of exist in between, the glory days of the 80s and 90s action movies, and the third movie came out just before the resurgence of action movies.
Yes,
with John Wick.
Before modern action.
Modern action. Which is still going pretty strong. So
we have higher, I suppose, expectations for Expendables 4, though the tagline kind of makes me scared that they might be going too big.
I don't even know what the tagline is.
I just read like that one sentence, like, armed with every weapon they can get their hands on, the Expendables are the world's last line of defense, and the team that gets called when all other options are off the table.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit too big.
Who knows?
But who knows? It might be fantastic, because I'm very excited to see some of the other actors they've recruited this time.
It's a problem, though, because it's directed by Kurt Waugh, who's made some awful movies.
No, Scott Waugh.
Oh, sorry. Scott Waugh, yeah. He made the Need for Speed movie, which sucks ass. He made Act of Valor, which is awful. And then it's written by Kurt Wimmer. That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
And he has written some of the worst movies ever made. I think we talked about Kurt Wimmer recently. For some
blocked
reason.
him from my...
Oh, yeah. I think we just talked about random stuff on Patreon, I think, when we did the... No, I talked with my friend Martin about it.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to him about him, because I've completely blocked him out.
He wrote and directed the 2020 reboot of Children of the Corn, which is disgusting.
Why would you make that?
It's so bad. But he also...
It's got a 22 on Metascore.
Yeah, it's so... And he wrote The Sphere. He wrote the Ultraviolet movie.
He did write Salt,
Salt is
though,
fine.
and I think Salt's fine.
Honestly, the Total Recall remake is fine. So he's not all bad, but it's mostly bad. So I'm worried for those reasons.
Yes. There's positives and negatives here. I'm cautiously
excited is what I'm going to say as well.
But I want to end this. So, out of the 3 movies that already exist that we have seen, I know which one is my favorite for one dumb reason. But I want to know what is your favorite?
Well, the way I graded them, I think the second one is the best one.
Yeah, because it's campy.
It catches the campiness, yes.
And that makes it work. Everything else is the same in 1, 2, and 3, but 2 is like they're having fun with it this time. First one is, we're trying to make something, let's see if this works. Third one is almost a little bit too serious and like, oh, we're gonna build this great giant franchise, let's branch out, let's bring in new people, create new action heroes, which they didn't, because none of these people ended up being action heroes, really. Ronda Rousey's like the closest we get, and she still has only small parts in other random action
She doesn't really
films.
act anymore. She became a wrestler instead.
No. Yeah, I mean, she did like 1 or 2 things after this. One of them being the Fast and
and
Furious.
Ortiz went back to boxing. He basically made nothing after this. Kellen Lutz,
exactly. So
Kellen Lutz
failed.
is still trying. The poor man, he's still trying. And then Glenn Powell is, I guess, the only one who made it, but not really as an action star. He's not just, he's an actor.
No, he's yeah, he's like this one thing he's probably gonna get known for now is a drama film, I think, with one of the girls from Euphoria.
Huh? The new movie?
Yeah, that's really hyped.
Hitman?
Yeah, it's a new movie. No. I don't think that's it, man.
That's...
I think it's a drama comedy or something.
Oh, okay.
like romantic drama.
Because I know there's a lot of buzz around this movie Hitman, which he's in. It's like it's been showing in festivals recently. But okay, yeah.
Oh no, this one hasn't even nowhere
okay.
yet. They've just seen behind the scenes pictures, which make them look so romantic and pretty and in love. And I'm guessing that's where he's gonna blow up as a heartthrob or something.
Well.
But he didn't become the big action star we thought we should have had from Expendables 3.
It's a
However, Expendables 2 have this quirky, quippy, just trying to have fun with it all. Everyone's getting each other's one-liners. We have bigger stars joining just because.
Yeah, it's the one who works the best.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, as much as I love Banderas in the third one, and as much as I love that ending action scene, it's ruined by the PG-13 rating. And, the second one is just better. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, if I would rate them, it's worst, number 1, second worst, number 3, and best, number 2.
Yes, and number 1 gets honorable mentions for being the only reason the other ones exist.
Yes, but it's so awkward and weird. It has to be the bottom.
Yes. But that's it, I think.
I hope you enjoyed our rant about the Expendables movie.
For an hour 35.
Yeah, and if you're as pumped as we are for the fourth one, I guess we are pumped.
We are pumped.
Yeah, we are. Join us next week when we're actually going to talk about the fourth. Expendables, as it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll see.
I hate titles like that.
Maybe they actually get it this time.
Yes.
We'll see. Other than that, check us out on Patreon, where we were first going to just talk about random 80s action movies, because obviously. But now I guess we're going to talk about white chicks and Wild Wild West.
Probably. We'll see. We might just watch them and not talk about it.
I'm still going to watch Wild Wild West. I've been hankering for days to watch that movie. I haven't seen it in 20 years, so.
You know what? If you want to find out what we end up talking about, check out the
exactly.
Patreon.
Check it out.
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for telling all your friends about this great podcast. And we'll see you in the next one. But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's produced and directed by Tobias Vedén and hosted by Tobias and Rebecca Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. I also want to give a huge shout out to all our patrons over on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Daniel Geiso, Christopher Billén, Laura Kinney, Mom, Dad, and CK85.